All right, what is up, idiots, and welcome back to another Flow video. This is Jacob Tucker, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to, sign slash authorize a transaction on a backend using AWS KMS. So this is something that I had no idea how to do about, literally a couple days ago. But I want to give a huge shout out to Aura here on Twitter. So, Aura, thank you so much. If you're seeing this video, I want to give all the thanks to you because you helped me tremendously learn about AWS KMS. And Aura is also the one that developed a extremely useful library that I'm going to be using throughout this entire video. So this video would not be possible without you, Aura. And thank you also for helping me seriously throughout this entire journey. So yeah, many thanks to you. Okay, so with that being said, let's get started with our explanation here. So what I have up right now is a little diagram to, help explain why we're using AWS KMS and what exactly it's going to be doing for us. So, usually when you have, your account and you want to sign a transaction with your private key, you're doing that because you have the private key, right? It's a non-custodial account. You have the private key so you can sign the transaction. Now, in other times, like Blockdo, for example, when you use Blockdo, you don't know your private key in that case either. They hold your private key. They hold your private key so that when you send a transaction, they're just doing all the work for you. But when you have a non-custodial wallet and you have a private key, then you have to sign the message yourself and all that sort of stuff. With AWS KMS, it's a similar kind of concept to Blockdo in that you don't really know your private key. In order to sign, a transaction, you actually use your AWS key. So if we walk through a sample user journey, when you have the private key, the user sends a transaction, they sign the transaction with the private key, and then the transaction goes through. But with AWS KMS, the user sends a transaction, you sign the transaction with your, it's technically your private key in the background, but you can think of it as your AWS keys, and then the transaction goes through. So it's really this middle step. That's why we're using AWS KMS. It's because you don't have to know your private key. Now, the reason that's useful is because it adds, an added layer of protection to your application, because usually in your app, you would have, for example, like a .env file that's containing your private key, and you would use that to sign the message. But in this case, you wouldn't, ever even have to know your private key or expose it. You would be using your AWS, KMS keys. Now, sort of a side note, I've had, conversations about this, protocol with other members of the Flow ecosystem, and a lot of us have agreed that AWS KMS, it's sort of similar, right? Because if you expose your private key in a normal app, you're screwed. But using KMS, if you expose your KMS keys, you're also screwed. So in either way, you have to be careful. But I figured I'd make a video on it because a lot of people were asking about it. So with that being said, we're gonna walk through how to actually set up our keys and do literally everything. So we're going to first set up our AWS KMS keys, and then we're going to sign a transaction on a backend with those keys. So again, I'm using, this video is entirely possible because of Aura here, who made FCL KMS Authorizer. So thank you so much for doing that, and let's dive right into the video. So I'm going to scroll down to this part of the README that says how to set up AWS KMS. And I actually have a, I set up like a random Gmail account called Cool Kid. So I'm going to delete this account afterwards. So don't try and like hack my key or anything because it's going to be deleted anyway. So screw you. But anyway, we're going to walk through this together. So let's click on, right now I'm at, I'm just on, the AWS KMS key management service. I just said that twice, but let's create a key here. And then this is where things get interesting. So, we're going to follow these steps here. So first we're going to click on asymmetric. So asymmetric. Then we're going to click on sign and verify. So sign and verify. And then we're going to click on ECC sec G, the bottom one. So let's just click on the bottom one, which is all good to go. And so then you, create the key. So we'll click next. We can, I don't know, we can just name this like cool kid is cool. Oh, I can't do that. Cool kid, LOL. The description is going to be LOLs, and there's going to be no tag. So next, and then it should, let's just keep clicking through this. So let's click next again. Click next. This is a part I don't really, really care about. And let's click finish. So once we do that, our key is going to be generated here. And you can see we now have a key ID, which is pretty cool, right? So that is what our, key is going to look like. So now that we have our key, we actually need to create our Flow account. So first of all, what we're going to be able to get from this key is our public key. Now, we're still going to have to actually do the account generation ourselves. But if you already have an account, right, you don't have to do this step. You would just take your account and you don't have to do this part if you already have an account. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, so let's go to the flow testnet faucet, I believe it's called. Yeah, so we're going to go to the flow testnet faucet, and we're going to have to put a public key in here. Now, the public key that's going to get put in here is going to be the public key that we get from, KMS. So actually, I think you're going to have to create an account anyway, because we're using the public key from this account. So I misspoke, sorry. But if we go to our application, we're going to have to do some steps to get our public key first. So if we go to, let's just keep following these steps because it's really useful. I'm actually going to scroll up a bit here. And so that we can sort of look up here. So we're going to need to do all of these steps up to right here where we print our public key. And again, we're printing our public key because we're going to end up pasting that here and creating a testnet account with it. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to have to import FCL, all this stuff. So let's go ahead and just install some dependencies here. So let me go back to this directory. What did I call it? AWS. Okay. So here we are. So you can see it in my product. I just have an empty package.json, so nothing yet. So what we're going to do is do npm install. I'm going to do a few things. @onflow/fcl, @onflow/types. We're also going to import, let me just look at my notes over here. We're also going to import @AWS SDK/credential providers. We're also going to import .env, and lastly, the most important is FCL KMS Authorizer, which is this repo that we're looking at right now. So if we install all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, then we should be good to go for the rest of this video. Woohoo, woohoo, woo. So let's just wait for that to go through. Actually, I don't even know why I'm waiting, because I guess, yeah, we'll wait. This is usually when I pull up Flappy Bird and we start playing Flappy Bird together, but I'm not gonna put you through that agony. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now that we did that, let's open up a main.js file, and we're just gonna run everything through here. So in order to set this up, let's just make like a function do stuff like this. We're gonna console.log. Jacob is so attractive. And then we're going to, call do stuff right here. And so then what happens now is in our terminal, if we just do node main.js, it's going to log a fact, right? So now that we've done that, I don't know who said that, but now we're going to go back to our application here, and we're going to import all this fun stuff from this repo, just like it's telling us to. So what we can actually do is, I'm just going to go ahead, screw it. I'm just going to copy paste a lot of this. So let's just copy paste everything up above. Why not? Let's just do it. So again, I always say this, I hate when YouTubers copy paste stuff, but I'm going to put this link in the description, so it's probably a lot faster for you to copy paste it, and I recommend it because you don't want to mess this up anyway. All right, so I'm just going to reformat things like I usually have it, but all of this should be totally fine. Now, one thing I do want to mention is we're going to be using testnet, so instead of having this API URL here, let's just delete it. I usually just put the link right here directly. It's going to be HTTPS testnet.onflow.org. Now, if you're on mainnet, this would be mainnet.onflow.org. That's pretty much the only difference throughout this entire video. Well, you also need to make a mainnet account. But anyway, we'll be on testnet for this video. So bada bing, bada boom, there we are. All right. So next thing we need to do is, look, so you need to put your key IDs here. So let's go ahead and put our key IDs right there. So let's go back to, where is it? Right here. So here's our key ID. So let's just literally take it. Sorry, and put it in here, and there's our key ID, right? So boom, we are good to go on this end now. Now, the reason the region is US East 1 is because that's just what my account's on. If you look at the top left here in the URL, it even says US East 1, so that's just what I'm be using. And also, if I click on this right here, I'm on US East 1. If you're on a different one, make sure you change this region to whatever you're currently on. Again, I have no idea why. I'm kind of an idiot, but I'm here to just show you how to do it, not to be the master. So yeah, so what else are we going to need here? Okay, so let's go back to this thing here, and we're going to need to do this code right here, which is const authorizer. So I will actually type this out because I think this part might be important to go over. So let's just say, okay, so let's just say, let's get rid of this. Let's just do const authorizer equals new KMS authorizer, which we import from FCL KMS authorizer. And we're going to have to pass some things in here. So the first thing we're going to pass in is an object with credentials and a region. So let's just go ahead and say, we're going to pass in an object that has credentials right here, and we'll put just an empty thing here, and then a region which is already defined up here, right? So that's perfect. And then now that we've done that, we have to put key IDs, right? So that's the last thing we have to put here. So that's the second argument. So key IDs. Perfect. So what is credentials? Well, you'll actually, if you look here, it says from env. And you're probably wondering what the heck that means. Well, from env just means you have to have certain variables configured in your env file. So we're going to put from env here, and we import that from AWS credentials providers, whatever. But basically, we're going to have to configure some variables in an env file. So if we open up a .env file here, we're going to have to put some sample things here. Now, let me look at my cheat sheet code to actually see what we need here. Okay, so we're going to need two things. One is an AWS access key ID, and the other one is a AWS secret access key. Yay! Okay, so just like that. Now, once we do that, God, I have to remember how we actually get them. So I think if we go to, so if you go to the top right here and click on security credentials, I believe this is where it is. If not, I might have to pause the video and, yeah. So, no, okay, boom, so I was right. So you're going to click on this one right here, access keys. It says access key ID and secret access key. So if you go ahead and click on create new access key, it's going to, create a new one. So we can actually just, I'm not going to download this file because we're only going to ever need it one time. But let's just copy and paste our key ID, which goes right here. And then we have to copy and paste our secret access key, which is going to go right here. Now, I really recommend that you do download this file because, obviously you're going to be using this for your real applications. And it's going to be really important for you to, keep that on your computer or just store these safely. Now, tying back to what I said at the beginning of the video, these keys are as important as your private key. So in a way, even though people will encourage you to use KMS over storing your own private key, at the end of the day, if people get access to these keys, they're going to hack you in the same way they would if they got access to your private keys. So it's up to you whether or not you really want to use KMS. Some people say that it's overkill, including me. Honestly, I don't even use KMS in my apps because, again, if people get access to these keys, it's the same as them getting access to your private key. So be very careful with these codes. And like I said, I'm going to delete this account after this video so you can't hack my life. So let's go back here. So now this from env is actually going to read from the env file here. And that's also why we, one other thing I need to mention is that we need to also require at the very top, right up the top here, we need to require .env, .config so that it'll pull in these env variables. Alrighty, so we're kicking absolute butt here. Now, the whole reason we're doing this, by the way, is so that we can actually get the public key from the authorizer. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So let's say, let's go down here and let's say const public key equals, what is it? Wait, authorizer dot public, what is it, public key? Oh, get public key. Okay, so get public key. Just like that, and then we're going to console.log the public key. Cool. So now that we've done that, let's see if any of this even works. I would be surprised if it did, because code never works on the first time. And there you go. So, of course, it didn't work. LOL. Okay, so if we go back here, so I just need to change up the way these are imported. So let me go ahead and just do that now. So let me, instead of importing FCL from add-on flow, I'm going to require it like that, because this is it's a module, whatever. I don't even... Don't make fun of me. I don't even know what that means. But anyway, here we are. So, and then we're going to replace these imports with the require statements. So just change up your imports that it's require instead of import because, computer science stuff. Haha. Okay, so now that we've done that, and also all the source code is going to be on GitHub. So if you're like annoyed by me just like copy pasting random shit everywhere, then like, you can just go to the source code. But let's run node main.js. And of course we get another error. So nothing ever works in the first try. Let alone the second try. But we put async here, and you know what they say, third time is the charm. And we got our public key, so that is massive. Okay, I did not think that was going to work. Anyway, we got our public key, and here we are. So if we take our public key, let's copy our public key, and now we can go and create an account. Yay! So we're currently on testnet, so I'm at testnet/faucet.onflow.org. If you're trying to create a mainnet account, that's a whole other can of worms. That's a whole other can of worms. I've done a video on how to make a mainnet account, so feel free to go to that, but this is all on testnet. So let's paste our public key. And now there's something interesting we have to do here. So we actually have to change this signature algorithm to secp256k1 and then leave the hash algorithm the same, right? I believe that's true. So if we scroll down here, Yeah, so I'm a genius, right? So right there, boom. So make sure to change this to sec-b 226k1. I am a human. If you're not a human, then you may struggle with this part. So boat, 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 boat. Even if you are a human, honestly, I tend to get these wrong in the first try. But we click boats, and then we create the account. And hopefully, if all goes well, then we will be well on our way here. All right, I'm recording, right? All right, thank God. I always have a moment of panic that I'm not recording. I've been cracking some pretty good jokes this time too. So okay. Wow, it worked. Let's go. So it worked, and now we have our address. So there's our address. Boom. Wow, we are killing it. So now the next part is let's actually sign something, right? Let's authorize the transaction, shall we? So let's go ahead and do that. So the next part is we want to put our address and our key indexes. So I'll explain what those are. So the address here. So I'll just do this with you. So now that we have a public key, for the record, we don't really need to do this anymore. So let's comment this out. But now let's say const. What was I even doing? Got my memory. So const address equals, and then we're gonna paste our address. That's not the address. The address is what we got right here. So let's take our address and paste it right there. All right, and then let's say const key. Oh God, what is it? Key indexes. Okay, so we have to name things funny because computer science. So the reason that we put 0 in here, I'll explain why. So when you take your address here, let's actually look this up on the flow view source. Oh man, what is the link? Hold on, I have it on my other Google account. Gotta love Google. So let's copy paste this into here. The flow view source. So what is the flow view source? Well, it's a way for you to basically like view accounts on testnet. So let's go to the account that we made. Let's change it in the URL to look at this account. And you can see that now this is the account that we just generated. So on the left-hand side here, you can see 1 keys. And if you look at this key, you'll notice this is actually the key that we made that we got together. So look, 87CB336, whatever, 87CB336, right? So it's the same key. So this is the right account. And you'll notice that the key ID is 0. So that's why we're using 0 here. If we had a ton of different public keys here, we would use whatever key ID you wanted to use. But I'm using 0, so we put that in the array right here. Yay. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's actually go ahead and get our authorization. So actually, I'm going to leave that and come back to it because it'll make more sense if I explain it this way. So let's actually go ahead and let's run a transaction. Let's say const transaction ID. And I've done this 50,000 times in all my videos. So let's just do it together again. But this is just simple FCL sending a transaction. Well, simple if you've done it a billion times. FCL.send. And then in here, we're going to say FCL.transaction. And we're going to put some transaction code in here. Now, for the record, I'm such a great YouTuber that I actually configured like a dummy contract before I even began the video. So I'm going to show you the contract right now because this is what I'm going to run the transaction against. So if I go to my other account here, you'll see I deployed a hello world contract to testnet. And in here, there's a greeting and then a change greeting function. So we're just going to call change greeting with a new greeting that's going to change this variable. Very straightforward, right? So let's take this address that this contract is deployed at, and let's go ahead and import hello world, which is the contract from that address. Let's make a new transaction here. That's going to take in a new greeting. That's a string. We're going to open up a prepare statement, right? This is all just cadence code. So auth account. We're not gonna do anything in prepare, and then we're gonna say execute hello world dot change greeting, and then the new greeting is going to be the new greeting that we passed in, right? So this is going to be this right here. All right. So now that we've done that, we can actually add some arguments here. So fcl.args. There's only gonna be one argument, which is going to be like Jacob rocks. Oh my God. And then t.string. That's why we imported t here, because we need to specify the type of our argument. And then this is where things get interesting, right? So now we need an fcl.payer, we need an fcl.proposer, and we need fcl.authorizations. So this is all just stuff we've seen before. If you've watched my videos, if you haven't, well, your fault, because I'm pretty good. And then at the very end of this, we're going to then fcl.decode. The reason I'm running through this very quickly is because I've done this a billion times, but the main point is that, when you run a transaction on flow, there's the transaction code, which is cadence code, the arguments, which is, again, this string is going to get passed into new greeting, and then there's 3 roles of a transaction. There's the payer, which is the person who pays for it. There's the proposer, which is the person like initiating the transaction. And then there's authorizers, which are people that are going to get populated right here. We can access their auth account. We can access their account, their NFTs, anything we want, right? So again, you don't have to have the same person for all three of these roles. And my guess is that if you're watching this video, it's most likely because you're actually using different roles for all three of these. The most common use case for this type of thing is you have the user on the front end with their Blockdo wallet, for example, proposing it, but you have your admin account, which is what we're doing right now, doing the payer and the authorizer. That's the most common use case. I do that all the time. But if not, then it doesn't matter. You can mix and match as much as you want. So anyway, the point is that in here we have to pass in an authorization function, but we don't have that yet. Where we have to get that from is actually right here. So it's very simple, using this awesome library. So Aura, I love you. But if we say const authorization, so before we even do this, if we say const authorization equals, and then let's, I forgot the code. So authorizer.authorize, authorizer.authorize, and we pass in the address and the key indexes. Then this is going to be our authorization function. So let's just take this variable, put it here, here, and here. And boom, it's as simple as that. So there's our authorization function, and then we can just console.log our transaction ID, just like that. So if we've done that, now, yeah, so we're pretty lit. Yay. So that's cool. Now, yeah, so that's, I mean, I don't know, all right, I was in such a role that I didn't even like realize that we were almost done here. Wow, I mean, I'm just insane. So if we run node main.js, it gets stuck. All right. What? No way this is... Okay, if this works, by the way, I swear I'm living in like a parallel universe, because if you've ever coded before, you understand that nothing ever works in the first try, but I will be flabbergasted if this does. So let's actually take the transaction ID, look it up on testnet, and it's sealed. I mean, is my content the best of all time or what? I mean, there's no way that just worked on the first try. Well, if anything, this is proof that A, my content is literally off the charts, and B, that Aura is an absolute legend. So, thank you, Aura, for your incredible docs. I mean, look how fast we succeeded, and that's it. So, yeah, wow, I think that was okay, that was funny, because that was one of the hardest videos I was ever going to make, and it ended up being one of the easiest, so, I'm kind of shocked. I probably should end the video, but I kind of like am appreciating how like amazing I am as a person and YouTuber. So I guess that's all I want to show. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to. So in this video, I showed you how to like, authorize a transaction. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to just sign a message, which is just going to be these last 3 steps right here. So, anyways, yeah, thanks everybody, and peace.